What is it like being a Jamaican doing business in Poland? Hi, I'm Xavier Murphy, founder of Jamaicans.com, and today I talk to Antonio Dixon, a Jamaican who's doing business right there in Poland. Welcome, Antonio. How are you?
Wagwan, Xavier, it's been a long time.
Oh, it's been a while. So, folks, if you don't remember Antonio, I initially he and I had a conversation about being a Jamaican living in Poland. And before I get into that part of the discussion, Antonio, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got there to Poland.
Yes, no problem. I'll be more than happy to do that. So, yes, I'm from Jamaica, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. That's where I was born and raised. I attended the Jonathan Grant High School, and also I was attending UA at some point as well. And I moved to Poland in 2020 during the pandemic. So I was basically looking for, let's say, like cheaper schools abroad because in the US it was like super expensive. Canada, UK, the same. So I was looking into Europe and I came across Poland where the tuition fee was really, really good in terms of the price comparison with even Jamaican universities, right? So, I applied for admissions and I got accepted, and then I decided to to pack my bags and to make the transition. It was very risky because it was during the pandemic, but I was happy I made the move, and my life has changed tremendously since then. So
All right. So, folks, if you want to hear more about the initial discussion we have, please look in the description. We'll link to that video. But today we're going to talk a little bit about the entrepreneurship and the business that Antonia started um, there in Poland. I want to back up before I jump into that though, because let me first say thank you for and folks, if you don't understand what happened, Antonio, when there was the war started in Ukraine, there were two Jamaican students that I had a conversation with, interviewed, Jamaicans living in Ukraine, and I reached out to Antonio, and he connected with them, and they had a friendly face when they crossed the border, coming in from Ukraine, which again, I'll put that story in the link about them leaving Ukraine to get into Poland. But they had a friendly face greet them, which is Antonio, who was in touch with them when they crossed the border. So tell us a little bit about that experience, because that was I know we were on the phone texting and
yeah,
you were texting them. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
that was a really wild experience. But thank you as well for like reaching out to me to for any assistance. So, when you reach out to me, I contacted the Polish consulate, Miss Irina Cousin. So she's the representative of Poland in Jamaica. And she was also collaborating with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the permanent secretary. So we were trying to discuss, like, all right, how can we get to the border? How we can basically, get them from across the Ukraine border to the Polish border. So there was that type of communication that was happening. So it was myself and two other Jamaicans. We have come together to decide to rent a bus for the day. So it's like you can say it's more of one of those JUTC buses. So it wasn't like a huge bus, but it was good enough to fit everyone, and we made the journey. I don't forget. I think it was around 10 p.m. the night we made the journey, and I remember I was talking to my mom, and she was like, "I said, Mom, I'm on my way to the border between Poland and Ukraine." She said, "What? What you doing? What are you doing over there? But going to the border, it was like so many things in my mind because you're like, what if there's a missile and it drops?
Mm.
Just imagine, like, it's a very dangerous thing, right? But we knew that Jamaicans over there that were stuck, and myself is trying to do as much as I can to help people from my country. So we went there, and it was crazy because in Jamaica you used to see crime and violence, but this thing is on a different scale. Like the hopelessness I see on people's faces because their homes have been
Mm.
destroyed. it was surreal, to be honest. So we went there, and one of the Jamaican, Brinsley, actually, he had the documentation from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that says that, that we're here to get the Jamaicans, to identify the Jamaicans. So we had like the list and the names and stuff. So one person from went, and which is Brinsley, to go to the border guard, right? And then we have like the list of the names of the Jamaicans that they should let in, right? In the systems, because that's like a diplomatic communication between, I believe it was the Jamaican embassy in Germany was kind of handling the diplomatic communication as a
Mm.
request to have these Jamaicans enter Poland, that because they will leave Poland to go to back to Jamaica, right? So we had the list of the people, and they were able to let everyone in, and you can see the looks on their faces. They were tired, they were frustrated, they
Mm.
were hungry. We had I got like some warm water for them and tea bag, because they were also like really cold, like very, very, very cold. So, you just do what as best as I can to like help them out and stuff.
Well, you certainly played a major role, an unsung hero in this whole thing. And listen, we thank you for looking out. You still in touch with some of the folks,
There is one actually in our, well, because we're a WhatsApp group of Jamaicans in Poland, right?
right?
There was one that was added recently. She was in Ukraine, and she went back to Jamaica, but she came back to Poland. And she's now, embarking on her studies. So that's like
Okay,
one person. So that's really good, because from the conversation I had with them, because even some of them, they were at the university. There were some of them were in their third or final year, and because of the bombings, their documents like transcript got destroyed.
exactly,
Right? It's like
exactly.
their entire 3 years of hard work just went down the drain. Some of them wanted to stay in Poland to study, but of course they weren't able to do so, because you need to get the proper documents in terms of visa, and the exemption that the Polish government was making was just for Ukrainian citizens. That didn't
Mm,
extend to anyone else. So they had to go back to Jamaica, and then work on their way to come back to Poland if they wanted to study. But they had such small space of time to check out some universities in Krakow, get some information, and I also like gave them a few of them a tour of the city and stuff. So
awesome,
yeah.
awesome job. All right, so let's switch gears. Tell us about your entrepreneurial journey and your business. Talk to us about that.
Yes, it's funny because doing business in Jamaica, when I was in Jamaica, there's a lot of barriers that you had to overcome, and even when you're trying to do business internationally while in Jamaica, it's kind of difficult because of the anti money laundering laws and stuff like that. So it's like you're heavily scrutinized. And coming to Poland to see, it's like so easy, having a business here. But just to give you a quick detail, so basically myself, I've been a freelancer for quite some time, or quite a couple years since being in Poland, on this platform called Upwork, and I've established myself in becoming a top-rated tech freelancer in Poland on this platform. So I have a few people that would probably reach out to me, or we're just having conversation. They're like, Antonio, what do you do for a living mostly? And so I just like, I do freelancing work, right? That's where I make my money and stuff. And they're like, they also looking for opportunities. And I was like, maybe I can help you. And then that's where the idea came to mind to start the academy. So it's called Dixon Academy, and basically it's just for anyone who wants to kind of get out of the 9 to 5 bubble, or they were like fired from their job, and they're looking for ways to earn extra money. So if you're in tech and you have any specialty, web development, graphic design, whatever it is, the purpose of the academy is just to like show you the pathways to become a freelancer basically, and start making your own money and establish yourself as as a business per se, working for yourself, right? Becoming your own man in this instance. So that's the business venture, and that was like set up in Poland, and it was a bit complicated with the setup because of the language barrier at the time. But when it comes on to just doing business, like the daily operation, like getting a business bank account and signing up on these platforms that I need to, for the website and dealing with payment transaction, because I'm in Europe and stuff, it's like a lot more easier.
Nice, nice. So, in terms of this new venture and everything, there a group that meets in person, and basically a monthly technology group you join there, and other business people that you interact with there. Any type of mentorship program that you're in? Tell us, on the
Yeah.
ground there, what's going on.
So it's kind of two ways. So for example, I do like one-on-one consultation for people who are, let's say there was a guy I gave some advice in Jamaica who wanted to start a business in Poland, and I gave him some advice of what he needs to get set up and some important stuff, right? So for Jamaicans who are looking to have business abroad, Poland is a really good choice as well, because like it's pretty simple once you get set up, as I mentioned. Like all of the barriers and red flags that you probably would face if it was a Jamaican business, in terms of if you want to do business internationally, right? So I do provide that, but also like people provide consultation in the sense of people like who are looking to earn extra income and they're looking like what they need to do and where they need to go. So I introduce them about like what I do in this freelance gig, and I provide them assistance in this regard. So that's basically so mostly, it's like providing consultation mostly in this case. Even people here, like say students here in Poland who want to do business, and they will reach out to me to say like, what do you do to get set up? Because it was really complicated at the beginning for me, and I did make some mistakes. I learned from them, and luckily people don't have to make those same mistakes if they talk to me.
All right. So, back to one of the questions was, in terms of a networking group, is there like a business networking group that you're a part of there?
Yes, so there's a group called 529, right? It's a networking group in Krakow city. So we meet up like once or two time a month, just networking, going out and stuff. So just like sharing ideas and brainstorming and stuff like that. So it's called 529. So, and there's also a couple of them as well in Warsaw, in the capital city. As well, I have some groups that I'm a part of online on LinkedIn as well, just to like share ideas and stuff.
So, what opportunities you'd say are there in Poland from a business perspective?
So
And
in
I know
terms,
you can't give us it all, and forgive me if the question sounds really
yeah,
broad, but
no.
there may be a few industries that you're seeing there, or a few things that are emerging that you say, "Hey, here's
Yeah,
an opportunity," and someone who maybe not born in Poland might be able to get into this.
yeah, exactly. No, if you're in one of the most booming industry right now is the tech industry in Poland, right? So a lot of companies are moving to Poland from the States all over, because it's a growing market in Poland right now, and but also you can get like cost-effective labor in terms of labor force, and still get like being a part of the European Union. I think that's one of the most important thing as well. If you set up a business in Poland, you're able to do a business in entire European Union, and you will
Mm,
see as a European business, right? So let's say if you want to go into export and import, right? If you set up a business in Poland, it might be easier for you to obtain the necessary licenses to do that. Um, so depending on what you want to do, in Poland it's a lot easier, especially if you need to get on certain platforms. For example, if you're running an online business, and I know this in Jamaica had these challenges when I want to set up like an online business and I need to use like a third party payment provider, and it was very hard to do because of being in Jamaica. They have this anti money laundering thing, right? So like if you're
okay.
from Jamaica,
Yes.
it's like
Yeah.
you're blacklisted to have
Right.
this type of account. So when you're in Poland now, you have like this type of business, like it's part of the European Union. Those barriers that you have to go through and all that stuff. Having a business back in Jamaica, being a Jamaican business is kind of difficult. So, and that's why a lot of companies in Jamaica, they just like open branches and do their operation outside of Jamaica, as it might be easier when doing like, transactions and stuff.
So in Poland, are you finding that people are opening a business there as a way to get access to the European Union because it's not as difficult to open a business there? I
For
mean, in
foreigners,
other places. So let me clarify. So in other places, it may be a challenge, but in Poland, it might not be such a big challenge. So they say, okay, let me pick the European country I want to enter the European Union from, and it's basically it's Poland one on the list that they say, yes, let me do this.
yeah, yeah, and also there's another thing as well. There, if you open a business here, you can embark on a path residency. For example, right now, my residency here in Poland is based on my business activity, right? So first it was student, now it's on business activity. So that's also an opportunity for people if you're looking to move here. Having a business here can help you gain that status in this regard. So there's a lot of opportunities like opening business here, especially if you're foreigners. For the local stuff side, they're mostly doing it because in Poland there are two forms of business you can open, right? Well, there's more than two, but this is the two most popular ones. So you have LLC, right? So in this instance, you this LLC could be like a partnership type of LLC, or you can be the only person there. And then you have one, they call it one man company. So it's like you're an entrepreneur, right? Which I am. So it's like you're an entrepreneur, you're the only person in your business. So in this instance, that's a different entity. The LLC, it's a bit more complicated in sense of like accounting aspect, because you need to get an accountant, and there's a lot of restrictions. For example, you cannot, any money you make from this LLC, you can't use it. You have to give yourself a contract to be able to use the money.
Okay.
While as an entrepreneur, whatever money you make, you can use it. You don't need to pay, let's say, give yourself a contract. In addition to that as well, with the LLC, the liability is only limited to your shareholding, right? So in Poland, to open an LLC, you need like a share capital of let's say $1,000 US. You can just like sign a document that you have the share capital. So it's not something you need to pay in advance, but you need to make sure that you're still able to deposit after the business is opening. So you need to have the share capital, and if you want to close the LLC down in Poland, you have to go through what they call liquidation, right? So you have to have the
Mm,
liquidated, whether you have assets or not. You have to do that. The only advantage is that your liability is only limited to what you invest. So if 1,000 USD is what you invest, and that's your shareholder, if let's say you take out any financing from banks and stuff, you'll only be accountable for what you invest. So they won't go after
okay.
your personal assets and stuff. So those are
Okay.
some of the differences. And
Good information there. Good information. So in terms of you know in terms of access, right, to the market, right, has language been any type of barrier for you of getting access to certain things and certain opportunities, and also in addition, is not being a citizen limited any type of not transactions, but what you can and cannot do?
there was some limitation, not due to the fact I wasn't a citizen. It was because I was a citizen of Jamaica. I love my country, but unfortunately, that also played a key part, because Jamaica, I believe in 2020, there's this list that they call the blacklist. So these are countries that pose a threat to the European Union financial stability. And unfortunately, Jamaica went on this list. I know our government was trying to get us off, but that didn't work. So what happened is that when you're trying to open a bank account here, whether you're doing it for business or just you move here, you need a bank account. They have to really screen you to do like an assessment, a risk assessment, if they're able to do it. Some banks will just say no or outrightly because you're Jamaican,
Mm,
they won't do business with you. So that's the more difficult part of like finding a bank that will, will cooperate, because it doesn't matter how long I've been here, or if even if I was a permanent resident, the fact
right.
that my passport said Jamaican and my citizenship is Jamaican causes them not wanting to do business or open a bank account. So that's but yeah, I did find banks here that would cooperate, but that's the most, challenge, more of like, where you're from.
Okay. Okay. Well, listen, Antonio, thank you for giving us a little insight on you doing business there, and that last piece about being on that list, very important for folks to understand. Hopefully, that changes eventually. Oh, sorry, you were gonna say something.
No, I was saying that I was talking to the consulate that represents Poland and Jamaica about, like, if we can do anything about it, because for Jamaicans that move to Poland to study, of course we don't have like a list of banks that are cool to work with, but the thing is that the worse it gets from Jamaica side, more difficult it gets for us, living abroad. At least I know in other countries it might be less complicated because they're more familiar with Jamaica, like for example UK and US. But like in Poland, they're just like, oh, this country has a high risk. No, we're not going to do business. So yeah.
I see. I see. Um, so we talked about food. So, folks, if you want to hear about Polish food, watch the other video and
Yeah.
about some of the attractions and places and things to see. However, I want to touch on, since you have done the Jamaicans to the world, I think it was what, 3 years, 2.5, maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah,
That
2021, if I believe.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I know folks have tell us some of the stories and some of the things that have happened, because I believe you have had folks contact you and so forth, and maybe you've met a couple of them.
Yes, yes, I have. And it's funny because I look back on that video, I'm still surprised it went 25,000 views. I was like, wow, this is interesting. But yeah, there was a particular Jamaican, Carmichael Byfield. He owns his own fashion brand, he's a fashion designer. And he did reach out to me saying that he sympathized at how difficult it may be for me living in Poland as a black person, right? So,
Hmm.
because he's a Dutch citizen and he's been in Europe quite some time. So, but we had some synergies in terms of like similar interests. He's into fashion. I like fashion in a sense, and this would have been cool for us to meet up. So I went to when I was going to Jamaica. I went to Netherlands on my way back, and we decided to meet up. And our first meetup, actually, if I recall correctly, was he invited me to a fashion show in Serbia, and
Oh, wow.
that was our first official meeting, if I remember correctly. But yeah, from that,
So they didn't ask you to jump into one of the shows.
no, no, I'm not a model. I'm not a model. I mean, I'm pretty short. And to be a model, you have to have some height. So yeah, that for me anytime soon, or even probably never. But no, like I still provided some assistance with
Good.
preparation with the models and stuff. So I did give a hand in which I could, and yeah, it was
Nice.
just really cool. Like being around another Jamaican in Europe and stuff. So and he gave me some really valuable advice, business wise, personal wise. So I did
Nice.
appreciate the connection and the mentorship.
Nice, nice. I'm glad Jamaicans to the world had some connections, made some connections for you. That is totally awesome.
Yeah.
So, what is next for you? I know you're just kind of starting out. What do you see as the next big thing?
So the next thing is I have on my list to cooperate with some schools here in Poland to have like let's say some presentation in Jamaica for like anyone who's interested to study in Poland. So like bring some brochures and stuff like that. So I'm in currently in the phase of planning that to like rent a space in Jamaica in a hotel or something, and just have like a sensitization session on studying Poland, what it's like studying Poland and stuff, universities that you can apply for, possible scholarships and stuff. Because a lot of Jamaicans may not, think of Poland, have heard about Poland, and I know how difficult it can be to get into the US. If you don't have family there, or if you don't have money or a scholarship. And interestingly enough, the tuition fee that I paid here when I came was cheaper than UA, what I was paying at UA. So that was very
Mm,
mind blowing.
right.
So, I just want to be able to present similar opportunities or at least information to, Jamaicans back home who may are looking for where they could go and pursue their studies, and don't have a lot of options. Poland can be an option. So that's what I'm working on, and also
Nice.
if yeah, to as best as I can. So yeah.
All right. All
Mhm.
right. Well, Antonio, thank you. Thank you again for spending a little time with us. Tell us where we can find you online.
Yes. So I am on. You can reach out to me on Instagram. So I give you my business Instagram, which is Dixon underscore at Academy official. Right. That's
Okay.
the Instagram page. And also, you can go on LinkedIn and you can find me. Just type in my name, Antonio Dixon. And also, if you search Dixon Academy on LinkedIn, that's DXXON Academy. You will also be able to find my business page there and me as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Now, I may have forgotten how they say goodbye in Poland. So we'll do that. Tell me how they say goodbye informally in Poland.
All right. So there, since then I of course learned a few more words, right? So a very informal way of saying goodbye is naraje, right? Naraje.
Naraje.
Yeah, that's very informal. That's mostly between peers, and the more formal one is do widzenia.
Lovizenia.
Do widzenia.
Okay. Navraje sound easier to me. So,
Because I had to learn the difference of or learning when to use formal and informal. Because if you speak informal Polish to, let's say, an elder person,
right.
that might come off,
Might offend them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I have to learn those things as well. But yeah, those are the two ones.
Well, Antonia, thank you again. And as they say in Poland, Navraje.
Naraj. All right.